Hello and welcome to News Across Nigeria. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Coming up on the program, members of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria renew protests for the release of their leader, Sheikh El-Zakzaky. One person is reportedly killed as violence erupts at the swearing-in of the APC chairman in Bayelsa State. And a 4-story building collapses in Kwara State. Well, let's start news across Nigeria from the south part of the country, where one person has been reported killed in the violence that erupted at the inauguration of Joseph Fafi as acting chairman of the Bayelsa State chapter of the All Progressives Congress APC in Yenagoa, the state capital. The immediate past chairman of the party, Tiwe Orunimiga, was expelled from the party for alleged anti-party activities alongside his vice chairman and secretary on July the 25th. Although calm is said to have returned after the initial uproar, our correspondent reports that many supporters of the party were sent scampering for safety when hoodlums, allegedly loyal to the expelled party chairman, invaded the venue, firing gunshots. The supporters had trooped out in solidarity with the new leadership of the party, which they said would bring an end to the infighting in the APC. The state chapter of the party has been embroiled in the crisis since it lost the governorship election back in January 2016.
We as a party, I mean myself, my leader, Timothy Silva, and his teaming supporters, we can never be scared of any gunshot. He can decide to shoot from now till tomorrow. We don't care. We must get our thing done the way we want it as a party. And nobody can intimidate us in this state. I can tell you that. We are ready for any battle. These are same people that were most in this party. Now they have been expelled by the party at the national level. And today we have come to install our acting chairman. And nobody can stop us. You can see we are all ready for it. This action must take place today. And our acting chairman must be sworn in. And the party must continue.
So I've not seen any hoodlum yet. All I see is party faithfuls. But anybody, whether hoodlums, whether a member of the party or anybody that causes the breach of the peace, we are bound to arrest him. And I think some other officers are within the town. If there is such information, they will bring it to my knowledge.
This is the latest protest by members of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria as they marched to the office of the Human Rights Commission in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, chanting justice for their leader, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky. Similar protests have been organized in different parts of the country, especially in the nation's capital, Abuja, and in Kaduna State. Sheikh El-Zakzaky was arrested alongside his wife following the deadly clash between the army and members of the group in Zaria, Kaduna State, in December 2015. The federal government says the Islamic leader was being held in its protective custody and has refused a court order to obey, or they've refused to obey a court order asking that Sheikh El-Zakzaky be released from detention. Ongoing military efforts in northeast Nigeria need to be matched with political will to end the Boko Haram insurgency. This latest suggestion of a solution to the crisis is coming from the humanitarian arm of the United Nations. Now, the UN's humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria, Edward Kalon, made the comments during a visit to a camp housing internally displaced people in Maiduguri, Borno State. Mr. Kalon is holding a series of town hall meetings with victims of the Boko Haram insurgency as part of activities to mark this year's World Humanitarian Day.
The continuous attacks on civilians in northeast Nigeria has become worrisome not only to the federal government but also to the international community. Since the start of the conflict in 2009, the UN estimates that more than 20,000 people have been killed and many men, women and children have become victims of abductions and various human rights abuses. The United Nations humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria, Edward Kalon, believes that with the political will, the war against Boko Haram insurgents would be a walkover for the Nigerian government.
People want to go home. People don't want to stay in IDP camps. And I think it is a responsibility of the government of Nigeria and its security apparatus and the international community to come to the aid of these people and help find a solution to this crisis. If there is one conflict around the world that can be resolved, is the Boko Haram crisis.
Rebuilding and reconstruction efforts have paid off with the successful return of the displaced to some parts of Borno State, but many are still hanging in the balance.
The crisis had affected millions of innocent families who wish to continue on with their normal daily lives. Thousands are returning home, and this is an excellent news. However, thousands are still also unable to return to insecurity. In addition, insecurity remains a major concern, and we applaud the ongoing food distribution to those in need.
While the people are eager to return home, somewhere in their hearts, they still harbor fear of the unknown.
We want to return home, but we are not sure of security. We don't know if we will be attacked again. It's really tough, which is why some of us prefer staying here.
Health and aid workers who care for the people affected by the violence are also affected by the insecurity, which has continued to restrict access to desperately vulnerable communities.
More information around the abduction of more than 200 schoolgirls from Chibok, Borno State by Boko Haram insurgents is emerging in the form of secret diaries kept by the girls. One of the authors of the diaries, Naomi Adamu, wrote that the insurgents had come to the school on that night in April 2014 to steal materials for house building, but couldn't find what they were looking for and were unsure what to do with the girls. Naomi wrote, quote, "One boy said they should burn us all, and some of the other fighters said, no, let us take them with us to Sambisa. If we take them to Shakau, the group's leader, he will know what to do." End of quote. Naomi was among 83 of the Chibok girls released by Boko Haram in May, part of a second wave after 21 of them were freed in October 2016. They are being kept in a secret location in Abuja, where they are being prepared for university education in September. Now, the diary is written by Adamu and her friend Sarah Samuel, a copy of which was obtained exclusively by the Thomson Reuters Foundation, are coming as the government continues with negotiations for the release of the remaining girls. They shed light not only on the horrors the girls have endured under the insurgents, but their acts of resistance and their staunch belief that they would one day go back home. The Anambra State Elders Council has raised concerns that the governance in Nigeria is gradually gravitating from true federalism to a unitary structure. This was the thrust of their meeting held at the Governor's Lodge in Awka, the state capital. After hours of deliberations, the Elders Council concluded that Nigeria is drifting towards a failed state occasioned by the underperformance of the country's governance structure. They also talked about politics in Anambra State with special focus on the November 18 governorship election.
There is urgent need for arresting this national drift through a restructuring of the country's present governance architecture by returning to a true federalism based on fewer and more viable federating units. We see great value for peace and security in sustaining the zoning formula for political offices in the state as adopted by Ohaneze Ndi Igbo Anambra State and also as resolved respectively by the Traditional Rulers Council and Anambra State Association of Town Unions, and call on all candidates for the governorship election and their sponsoring political parties to eschew indecorous language and violence in their political campaigns.
When the program returns after the break, a 4-story building collapses in Ilorin, Kwara State. Join us again.